Hi everyone, and welcome to Billy Fitzgerald Golf. And today I want to talk about how the swing is a circle. And I want to talk about the relationship between the face of this golf club and my hands. In other words, where are they in the swing, and what should I look for to make this circle correct? And that's a big part of playing good golf, is making sure that my hands and my golf club are in line with each other, or in line with these circles. You know, once we put your body into it, it's to maintain what I'm about to show you, how your hands and your golf club never leave these circles. Okay, so when the golf club swings, the head of the club is going to start slightly outside of my hands. Okay, then it's going to be in line with my hands, and then it goes away from the ball, or it gets on this side of my hand. So the golf club itself is working one way in the backswing. It's going away from the golf ball. In other words, it doesn't change directions and go towards the ball. We would call that across the line, and I'll show you why here in a second. But just to get kind of a blueprint of what we want to feel, is that when you swing, the head of the club is just outside my hands, it's in line with my hands, and then it works behind my hands. Now on the way back down, the club lowers a little bit, it'll shallow in transition, but now the club starts to go out. So it gets in line with my hands about halfway down, or shaft parallel to the ground, and then the head of the club hits the ball, so it works from here, it works out. So it actually is working, yes, it's coming from the inside, but it's actually has to work what feels like on top of my hand. So the face of the club feels like it's working on top of my hands, never dragging the handle and working away from my hands. The minute I did that, you could see that it took the club off plane, and it got the club way underneath the plane, or that imaginary swing circle, if you will. Again, once the club hits, right, it hits, and then the club, again, is outside my hands, in line with my hands, and then on the other side of my hands. So it's a continuous circle. So whatever I do, would it be my grip or my body or my arms, I have to maintain how the head of the club works around my hands. Now, to get too flat or across the line, in other words, we're talking about the head of this golf club and what it does. So again, let's say it's across the line. Well, the very first thing that I would say is that you only want the club face to pass your hands. So go from this side of my hands to that side of my hands once on the backswing, and once on the downswing. So we've got to be careful with that. Here's what's going to happen if we get into multiple times crossing your hands. So if the golf club swings back, it's in line with my hands, gets back here, and then it crosses my hands again. See, it has to cross my hands back here before it gets back out to the golf ball, which again is going to lead to inconsistent shots and it's going to be a big power leak, because you always want to feel like you're working with momentum or rhythm in the club. Again, if I get across the line and I swing back, and this handle pulls down, see, the club's down here and the club's falling back this way. So all of a sudden I have to pressure the shaft to try to get it back to the ball. So you always want to work with the momentum of the club, and that's exactly what happens when the club only passes your hands once. So the club, again, is outside, it's in line, it passes, I transition, and then now all of a sudden the club is going this way and in and through the ball. So done correctly, again, how your hands work along with the face of the club, there's not a lot of effort happening. And again, if you're going across the line or you get too flat, again, you start working with, you're working against the momentum of the club. Now, what happens if I go too flat? And I've seen that. So if I get the club too far back here, right, and when the club drops, it's so far under the arc, a lot of times, see, my shoulders have to try to come over the top and speed that up. So what I'd have you do is make some swings, and you can do this just left arm only, and start to feel how the golf club swings in its natural arc. So when I swing back and I go left arm only, I can feel how the golf club swings in its natural arc. Now I put my right hand on and I just keep swinging the golf club. so I can feel how the club swings in its natural arc. I don't get here and pull on the handle, and see this face has a very hard time getting over top my hands. So what does all this mean? What is, you know, the common viewer missing? Well, I think on the way down, for the first part on the way down, is that when you swing down, this golf club, the weight of this club is back here. So it wants to stay back here. So we actually have to feel like the handle works in, and we give the face of the club just a little push of momentum getting out in front of my hands this way. So when I swing, I feel the club back here, and I feel the momentum come back out in front of my hands. So what I'd have you do is make some swings and feel like you tip the club up, and feel that. Now this is an exaggeration. So we'd swing back and start to feel how the club goes over top my hands, over top my hands. So it goes behind my hands, over top my hands. Now just let the weight of the club do that. So the weight in the golf club actually, see, once it gets past my hands here, once the weight of the club gets about right here, the momentum of the club just takes off. So not only does it produce better shots, but it's one of the bigger speed producers. If I have the club too flat or too across the line, I'm constantly fighting the weight in the golf club. So again, I want to feel, I swing back, I get the weight of the club on this side of my hands, then as the handle works down, I start to feel the weight of the club come over top of my hands. See, once it gets right here, then all of a sudden I've got my L to L, where the weight of the club gets on top over here, and the club head just takes off. So if you're having trouble with L to L, this is a great way to look at this. So when I swing back, I get the club down here, I start to tip the club back over top my hands, and all of a sudden it hits, and the weight of the club just all of a sudden it takes off. So the club's behind my hands, I get it over top my hands, it hits, and the club just takes off. So there's a lot of speed there without a lot of effort. So I would have you exaggerate these feelings, and then when you look at it on video, it's not so exaggerated. So again, we swing back, face of the club is behind my hands, it comes over top my hands, hits, and then it rehinges over here. So again, now as we swing, start to feel like the golf club gets behind my hands, on top of my hands, it comes over top of my hands, and I can feel the club accelerate without me really even doing anything. So to add to this point, if I were to take this stick and put it about where my shaft plane is, so you can see the difference in this. If I swing back and the club goes back, see, it follows that plane, then as it swings down, it gets about right here, and the club face has to go back out. So the face feels like it goes this way. I don't get here and try to pull the handle and swing it from the inside. Now when I'm getting the club to work back over on top, see, when I swing back over here, it's not my shoulders that do it. I'm not casting from the top. In transition, my arms swing down, and I just help the golf club go just a little bit forward. So again, start to swing back, the club face goes behind my hands, swings down my hands, and it comes right over top my hands. So again, we'll swing, start to feel the face of the club, it goes back. So there's not a lot of effort there. There's a lot of speed, there's a lot of consistency, so it's going to help you hit the ball straighter and going to help you hit the ball farther with less effort. We start getting into too flat, too across the line, trying to get this club too shallow. You got to get the club working back on plane in that circle. So give this a try, and again, feel, I think the biggest feeling that you can take from this is that when you swing down, how the weight of the club gets on top of my hands here, and you'll feel it right away. You'll feel how the weight of the club just takes off once it gets on this side of your hand. So give this a try for less effort, more accurate, and longer shots. For more tips like these, or to schedule a live lesson, visit me at billyfitzgeraldgolf.com.